Hello everyone. We're delighted to have with us today VAIBHAVI Agrawal, who has secured All India Rank 35 this year in UPSC 2025. VAIBHAVI has done her BTech MTech from IIT Bombay and had mathematics as her optional. So, hi VAIBHAVI.
Hi ma'am, thank you.
VAIBHAVI All India Rank 35. Such a great achievement. What was your reaction when the result came?
Ma'am, so I was very nervous whole week because we were speculating that results can be out anytime, and we talked in the morning itself. I was very nervous, but when the result came, so I searched for my name and saw the rank 35. I was very happy, and on the same time, ma'am, I was very relieved that my hard works finally gave me the fruits.
Yeah.
So yes, ma'am.
There's a lot of feelings that come, right?
Yes,
because
ma'am.
of so much hard work that you've done. So tell us something about your journey of UPSC, how you started.
So, ma'am, this was my third attempt. I started UPSC preparation when I was in the last year of my college. I gave my first attempt just after the graduation. I was able to clear the prelims, and in my mains, ma'am, that year the cutoff was 741 and my score was 739.
Oh.
Because of 2 marks, I was not able to sit for the interview. But I later on analyzing my mark sheet, I realized that there were lacunae in my preparation.
Yeah.
So that was my first attempt, ma'am, and in my second attempt I was not able to clear the prelims. I was very sad at that moment, but I think it was blessing in disguise. I utilized the whole year to work upon my weaknesses. As I mentioned that, ma'am, my mains marks were not up to the mark. So I worked upon each and every aspect, optional, essay, ethics, GS, whatever I can do. I did that, and I think because of that I was able to clear this examination in my third attempt.
Yeah. No, I remember how disappointed we were when you missed the cutoff by 2 marks.
Yes, ma'am.
But in hindsight, it turned out to be a blessing, like you said, because
ma'am.
there were so many things to work upon and getting a very good rank requires that much amount of effort. But you're absolutely right. Disappointments, I think, is a part of this journey, isn't it? It's an integral part. You cannot, but one has to bounce back, keep bouncing back.
Yes, ma'am. Learn from those disappointments.
Yeah, true. So, VAIBHAVI, you had maths as your optional.
Yes, ma'am.
Why maths?
Ma'am, from the very starting, I was very clear that I will take maths as my optional because it was my natural choice. The reason is that, ma'am, one is that I really like solving maths. I really like studying maths. So it is something, it's not really just a subject for me. It's more like the thing which I enjoy. And as we know that optional is something which requires maximum time in our preparation. So one should choose the subject which one really likes and one is really interested and can sustain that subject for, for the 3-4 years, throughout the journey, can study that subject again and again. Yeah. So I think that is why, ma'am, I chose mathematics as my optional. Yes, ma'am.
Absolutely. I think you have hit the 2 points that should matter when one is choosing optional. Not which ranker has had what optional,
yes,
but or any other reason,
yes,
overlap with GS, nothing should matter.
Yes, ma'am.
I think you have said both the points, because the first point is that you should have interest and passion for the subject,
yes,
because you're in for a long haul. You
yes,
have to do it for a period of significant amount of time. So if you're not interested in it, how would you be able to devote so much time? And also if you have a flair for the topic.
Yes,
so your interest really matters,
yes,
and you have to be willing to put in the effort that is required. That's true for any optional,
yes,
and I think that's true for any student, that while choosing optional you should have these 2 things in mind. Nothing else matters, right? All
yes,
right. So tell me, VAIBHAVI, what was your strategy to prepare for maths? Once you decided that it's maths, what was your strategy for maths optional?
Ma'am, my strategy for the maths in the initial days when I started preparing for this examination, I was not sure which material to buy. So I bought few books which are available in the market and started studying that. Although I realized that those are very bulky and they are directly photocopied from the textbooks, which I was not able to connect to. So, ma'am, and as I mentioned that in my first attempt, I scored just 259 marks. There were lacunae in my preparation. On analyzing that, I realized that my basics are not clear. So, I enrolled for the foundation course here at Vajiram by you, and in the foundation course, ma'am, my basics got clear. So. Apart from the classes, the booklets which you have given, those has really helped me, because those are handwritten booklets. They are very crisp and precise. Often we see that the students roam here and there for the fancier material, which is not required for this examination. I believe that if one is clear with the very basic, UPSC asks questions from the very basics only. So if one studies that and clear the foundation, then one should be able to, the mathematics part would be most of it would be taken care of. So I think the booklets were my first strategy, ma'am. Apart from that, I believe that the solving the PYQs and the mock tests, I think those helps us to understand how we have to present the question, what are the question UPSC is asking, what is the weightage of each topic. We have 13 topics, what is the weightage, and how we should approach the paper in the real exam. So understanding all these aspects, I think this was my strategy for the mathematics, ma'am.
So what was the major difference between your first attempt and the attempt this year?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, in my first attempt, one thing which, on analyzing it, I realized that which, as I mentioned, that my basics were not clear. Apart from that, ma'am, in my first attempt, I had left few topics like modern algebra, some physics part, and part in the real analysis like uniform convergence. I was not able to study those things on my own. Those are a bit on the harder side, and they were not up to the mark which is required in the examination. So this is the second thing which was missing in my first attempt. Ma'am, third thing which was missing in my first attempt was the presentation of the answer. Earlier I was writing answer, just the solution was written in such a way that I just have to come to the answer. The middle part of the solution, the steps which we have to write, the theorems which we have to mention, the lemma which one should write and prove in the ending if we have time. Those things were missing. And one thing which I incorporated in this attempt was that I wrote the answer in the steps. I write step 1, doing this. Step 2, now doing this. Step 3, so that when the examiner is checking, the answer is clearly visible. He or she must be able to track that what is the solution one is doing, and if there is any mistake, there's a scope that one may give the partial marking. There's a scope, and it looks good as well. The examiner also find it's easy to check the paper. So, ma'am, I think these were the things which I did in my second time. I read the basics more nicely. I covered the topics like modern algebra, physics, which I had left it earlier, and I worked upon my presentation, solving the PYQs, giving the mock test. I think these are the very simple things which every one of us do. Doing these things has made me score 311 marks in this attempt. It was a jump of 52 marks from my previous attempt, ma'am. So I think this was a difference.
That's a very high jump, 52 marks more as compared to what you had, from 259 to 311.
Yes, ma'am.
Which is anyone's dream actually, because that makes or breaks the rank, I think. So what you're saying is it's not just enough to give the answer, it is important to present the answer in steps. So there is a structure, a well-structured answer as compared to just writing the answer. And you think that really made a difference in your performance?
Yes, ma'am. In my second time, the preparation was more well-structured. Earlier it was not. I was doing things on my own. I was not able to figure out. But in the later stages, with your help, and I was able to, my preparation became streamlined. That was the difference, ma'am.
Yeah, that's true. No, I mean, have seen your progress from 2022 almost to now, and you remember when you was trying to write things in steps, there was an answer that you'd written where there was only step one written,
the answer,
and then where is step 2? So my question was, where is step 2? If you're writing in steps, there have to be multiple steps.
Yes, ma'am.
And from there you have done, I mean, the improvement is very, very obvious. And so VAIBHAVI, I'm usually told by the students that they fear modern algebra. There is this common feeling amongst the maths aspirants that modern algebra is very tough. And how did you tackle? What was your what is your take on this? Like, what is your modern algebra analysis of how the paper is and everything? How did you tackle it?
Ma'am, I think the problem with why do we fear modern algebra is because that our basics are not clear in modern algebra. For example, we do not get the feel about what is associative property, what is closure property, how the theorems are coming up, how the proofs is happening. People often, see modern algebra as a cramming subject, but it is not. If we understand, if we, in the classes also, we did all the proofs by our own. You you waited for like half an hour, but only we went to the next step only when each of us are able to do the solution, do the proof on our own. And I think that is very important, ma'am, because I think theorems in the modern algebra and understanding of the basic is very important because, ma'am, so let's say there is a question, something is given and we have to come to the conclusion. And I think theorems are the bridge between those two aspects. We have to, if we have to come if we have to go from the given to the conclusion, theorems will be the bridge. And if we do not understand the theorems, the solution we will not be able to solve it.
Absolutely.
And ma'am, doing this after a point, if we are doing it on a daily, you spend around 1 month for this whole subject. I think that is the time which is required to understand the subject, to get the feeling of it. What is the subject? So what is the chapter is about? So, ma'am, I think my approach to the modern algebra was that understanding the basic, doing the theorems for sure, and then automatically it becomes like a poetry. As you also say in the class, it becomes like a poetry. The pen flows automatically. So I think that was a stage one should reach in modern algebra, because it's a really very beautiful chapter. I read it for the first time. We did not have a course on modern algebra in our college, so it was my first time studying in it. I think it is indeed, queen of maths. I say.
So true. I'm glad to hear that, because modern algebra definitely improves your overall understanding of the subject also. I mean, your presentation and everything goes up. And what you also highlighted is, yes, we spend a lot of time doing modern algebra. So what you're basically also saying is that not every topic requires as many classes as modern algebra. So there are topics that can be done in 10 classes. There are topics which take more time. So we have to balance it out according to what the topic is. But do you think it is advisable? Some people suggest that maybe they can leave a modern algebra, or leave real analysis, or leave this. Do you think it's advisable to leave anything in the syllabus?
No, ma'am, I don't think that we should leave anything, because I firmly believe that we should not leave any stone unturned. This examination is about competition. If you are leaving, there's definitely some person who is going to do that. And if you are not doing that, you are standing behind in the race. So it's not advisable to leave any topic. I think each and every topic here is important. And they ask in mix and match fashion.
And so you can't overanalyze the PYQs also in that sense, because even though 50-60% of the paper is pretty predictable that way. Like we know there'll be a question on duality, there'll be a question on transportation, there'll be a question on I don't know, Sharpit's method or Jacobi. So I mean, we can predict to an extent, but what has been coming for the last 4 years, they may not ask this year. So leaving a topic is a lot of risk. And also maths is a static syllabus. So once you put in that amount of effort, it is a lot of effort. But once you put that much amount of effort, then it is just about revising that. How many times did you revise your any topic, say modern algebra? So once you've studied, understood the core fundamentals, do you think once you do it, you're ready?
No, ma'am, I don't think. I will show you my booklet. It's, I have revised modern algebra so many times that each and every page is coming out of it.
Show us your booklet.
Ma'am, so this you may scold me also what you have done to my booklet, but each and every page is coming out of it. So
it is not my booklet anymore. It is your booklet.
Yes, ma'am. It's very close to my heart. I will not give it to anyone.
You have put in so much effort. So you were saying that you have to, once you understand the basics and you have developed the confidence, even after that you have to keep doing that topic again and again.
Yes, ma'am.
Because you have to be exam ready in the sense that in the exam you can't sit and think about anything. It is just about looking at the question and kind of reproducing what you already know
Yes,
about
ma'am.
it. So most of the paper was like that.
Yes,
This
ma'am.
year also, you think a lot of questions were doable, or you thought that you had seen them before or something like that?
Ma'am, most of, as you mentioned, that 80% of the paper is doable.
Yeah.
There will definitely be few questions which we should leave actually. That is my mistake which I did, because in the paper one, you had said me to, goal about 330, 340 as correct attempt, but I was aiming for 250 correct attempt. And I was stuck in one question. And that reduced my confidence a lot.
Yeah.
In the middle of examination, if my aim is to complete whole paper, and if I'm not able to solve one question, that came to my, disadvantage. I was stuck, and then somehow, I moved on. I left that question. In the final as well, I have to leave that question.
Yeah.
But spending more time in that question has, reduced the time for the other questions which I could have written more better way.
Yeah.
So I think, ma'am, 80% question is doable, and one should aim for, reasonable correct attempt, not 250. I think if one is able to do, that is definitely one should do, but one should have that, thinking in the mind that if there is some question which I am not able to do,
Right.
leave it and move ahead, and you can come around in that question in the end, definitely.
But that you were not so confident about. You wanted to do everything.
Yes,
right?
ma'am, I wanted
and
to do
when
everything.
I tell you that you could leave 10 marker, that sounds pretty different
Yes,
from what
ma'am.
everybody would tell you
Yes,
about
ma'am.
it.
Yes, ma'am.
But there are always one or two questions which are the questions you can probably get stuck at.
Yes, ma'am.
So if you attempt only for 230 or 240, but you do that in a
Good manner.
yes,
Yes, ma'am.
that makes all the difference.
Yes, ma'am.
So you left some questions. There
Yes,
was
ma'am.
some, so in spite of that, your score is quite commendable.
Yes, ma'am.
So that's what happens. It is not about finishing 250 out
Yes,
of 250. It is about how you're also presenting your
Yes,
answers.
ma'am.
Are they well structured? And so the mock tests and all also gave you practice about doing it in a timed manner. Did you always attempt tests in a timed manner, or what was your take?
So, ma'am, the mock test which I attempted, they were, so we have to do 5 questions out of the 8 questions. We have
Right.
to choose one from the section A, one from the section 2, as in like total we have to choose the 5. 3 questions we have to choose, 2 are compulsory.
Right.
So, in this 5 questions we have to do in 3 hours time period.
Right.
So, I used to do this 5 questions in the 3 hours time period, but later on there are 8 questions. So, I used to do all the other left 3 questions in my own time, so that there's no question left. So in time period I used to do 5 questions as if I am in the examination, but I used to attempt whole paper, ma'am.
Yeah, because those questions are also important, and
Yes,
they can
ma'am.
come in any.
Yes,
so
ma'am.
that's a good advice, because you can do some papers. You can do it in 3 hours.
Yes, ma'am.
Some maybe previous year papers also, like pick up a paper from 2022
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
and do the whole paper.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, you can do that. So
Yes,
because all the 8 questions in about 4 hours or something, in one go you sit and then you have a good idea about how the paper is going to be balanced. So that's excellent, I think.
Ma'am, one thing I would like to mention. So earlier when I was preparing my first attempt, so I used to solve the PYQs topic wise. So I had this PDF. I used to solve the PYQs like that. But so in the examination, all the 6 topics in one paper, all the 6 topics will be mix and match.
Yeah.
And it becomes very difficult to switch from question 1 to some other topic's question. And I think that is something which I realized, and in the later stages I used to solve, as you mentioned, that you pick one year's paper and solve it. So I used to do that a lot.
Right.
It solves the PYQs as well,
Right.
and also gives us the practice of the real examination, how we have to switch from one topic to the other.
Absolutely, that's a very good point, because I think you have to do topic wise in the beginning.
Yes, ma'am.
Then you have to do sectional,
Yes,
and then
ma'am.
you have to do full course.
Yes, ma'am, definitely.
And I think you also did, if I'm not wrong, you also did a few times 2 papers, one in the morning shift, one in the afternoon shift. So in one day you are solving 2
Yes, ma'am.
papers
Yes, ma'am.
to get you to have an experience of how the exam is.
Yes, ma'am.
Because it's hectic, isn't it? After so many GS papers and everything, and
Yes,
the
ma'am.
student is fatigued.
Yes, ma'am.
And then you have to give an exam in the morning, and in paper
Yeah.
2,
Yes.
generally, in fact, in paper 2, generally people don't score very high. I think you have got a higher score in paper 2 as compared
Yes,
to
ma'am.
paper?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, you got how much is your paper 2 score?
Ma'am, 166.
166. And what about your paper 1?
145.
So generally paper 2 people don't perform very
Yes,
well
ma'am.
because of real analysis there, modern algebra. And you
physics,
have done better in
Paper
that.
2.
So that approach of practicing questions topic wise, then sectional, then paper wise,
Yes,
and then 2 papers in one day really helped you prepare for
Yes,
this
ma'am.
exam.
Yes, ma'am.
So that's really excellent. Quite a insight about that. Maybe one more question I have. You're from a technical background. You're an engineer. So when you decided to come to UPSC, optional was the first hurdle, which you instinctively and naturally chose maths.
Yes, ma'am.
What about your other so many things in GS, the humongous GS papers and essay ethics? What was your strategy to handle that particular portion?
Yes, ma'am. For the GS part, I have enrolled for the foundation course here in Vajiram. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am. So that was my start. That was my sole source of preparation for the GS.
Okay.
All the basics and all the notes which I required is from those classes.
Okay.
And apart from that, ma'am, for the GS, I continuously read the newspaper and analyzed the PYQs and did the answer writing.
Okay.
And ma'am, this was about the GS preparation. About the essay, ma'am, it's a very important subject in the mains. So for essay, I enrolled for Brijen sir's essay module course.
Okay.
And his course is prepared so well that as you mentioned that, ma'am, I come from a technical background. Writing skills are not really my top a very good ability. So I think the course is so well structured that in each and every class, so sir teaches about how one has to write the essay, how one has to approach. So by the classes, one can write the essay so well that it flows automatically. The reader also understands what the essay is about. So we often see that essays are haphazard, due to which the marks reduces. The essay has some flow so that one understands what's going on. So that is something which is very well taught in the course. And ma'am, second thing which I think was very important is the content given by the sir. By sir. So the content was so it was complete that if you give me any topic, if the UPSC is giving any topic, we would be able to write something from the content itself.
Yeah.
The content is so well, it's more than enough, I would say.
So you don't have to run about finding more material, keep updating it. It is already there.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. It was already there. Sir updates the material and gives also. If there is any other good example, he teaches that in the class itself.
Okay.
So I think that was the second part. And ma'am, third thing which really helped me in the course was that the personalized comments given by the sirs. I remember my first essay and the last essay which I wrote, there's a huge difference. It was because slowly and steadily the comments given by each and every test, I was able to work upon those aspects and improved my essay from it was very, very bad. In my first essay was very not up to the mark, but my final essay was at least people like me who has some issue with the writing ability, not that fluent. So I think it really helped me to this time also I scored 115 in essay.
And that's a good score given how the checking has overall happened this year, I think.
Yes, ma'am. And ma'am, one thing which sir has also helped me in my ethics preparation is, sir, ma'am, so the content sir has given me in the ethics and the answer writing, sir has, regularly checked my answer as well and given me insights about how we can improve, what else we can write, what example one should write, what quote one should use, the philosophical part which I had left in my first attempt, the name of the famous philosophers which one should quote in the examination, the diagrams, the case studies. So I think sir has really been instrumental in ethics, in essay, and even in the interview as well, ma'am. He has been guiding me since long time. Yes, ma'am.
Great. So you mentioned the interview. Did they ask any question on maths in your interview also? You were telling me something very interesting.
Yes,
Why don't you share that story with us?
Yes, ma'am. So not just in interview, ma'am, I think in general also we as a math student has often been asked that what is the use of mathematics in our real life? And we always struggle to make justification that maths is very core to everything, as Galileo Galilei has also mentioned that maths is the language of the universe. But I was also finding that answer not that much convincing, and I discussed with you. You only told me about one documentary in which how CIA used basic trigonometry to caught Osama to catch Osama bin Laden.
Yeah.
Later on, there's a movie as well, ma'am. The Zero Dark 30 is the movie. I watched it. I was so intrigued with the anecdote that I watched that. And in the movie, it is showing that they know that there is some some person inside that home who is that unknown person. The CIA was not able to confirm that whether that person is a man or a woman. But what they knew is that the person goes to the terrace every day, roam around here and there, and comes back. But they were not able to see the face of that person because there was wall around him or her. So what they did is, from the top they measured the height of the they measured the shadow's length from the top and used the trigonometry basic formula of tan theta to get the specification of the height, approximate value. And interestingly, that matched the specification of Osama bin Laden. That helped CIA to get certain that that person is a man, and most probably Osama bin Laden, and they launched the attack. So it's very interesting how basic maths is used, to counter terrorism. Such a big thing.
Imagine, at least now I think people will stop asking us where is maths really used. So finally we can put it to rest, because when we keep telling them it's used everywhere, they're like, where am I using it today? So at least now we have, so it's interesting to see how maths is used there. So that's wonderful. Vaibhavi, my last question to you. To your juniors, the other aspirants who are now looking up to you, you've got a commendable 35 rank. What is your advice, words of wisdom to the future aspirants?
Ma'am, I think I would like to say that I would not sugarcoat it. This journey has definitely been hard. It requires a lot of efforts, a lot of sacrifices, not just for a year, but for a prolonged period of time. For me as well, ma'am, this was my third attempt. So it's been more than 4 years. I think this UPSC preparation does require a lot of efforts. But I think if one is willing to put in that effort, the hard work which is required, one will definitely clear this exam. From my own experience, ma'am, I'm telling you and through this podcast to everyone that if I can do it, anyone can do it. Because, ma'am, I think I come from a very humble background, and by the blessings of my teachers, my family, my parents, and obviously by the grace of God, I was able to put in the hard work, the efforts which is required, and with the right guidance, I'm able to clear this examination. So I would just say that always whatever hard work we are doing, the fruits will definitely come. And yes, ma'am, this is my message.
That's such kind words of wisdom that you have, and you're absolutely right. There is a lot of hard work, there's a lot of sacrifices. I think one's mental health goes for a toss, because disappointment is a part and parcel of this journey. But how to bounce back from there and how to have faith, I think, and obviously, like you said, the correct guidance and definitely divine intervention in some way or the other. But let's not shy away from congratulating you once again, because it is ultimately a lot of hard work, a lot of dedication that you've put in, and we wish you all the best for your future endeavors, and I hope you continue to serve the country with the same zeal and enthusiasm that you've always displayed. So all the best.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.